ketchup. I got ketchup too.
Mind your elbow. Good job, Hawkeye. Go get your arrow.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Charlie. We got a whole bunch of new Marvel Phase 4 to talk about. We just found out who's going to be the next Hawkeye in Marvel Phase 4, so we'll break it down. There's new giveaway stuff I'll explain at the end of the video. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Easter egg videos. There's going to be so much stuff happening in the next couple of months. A lot of you saw that scene of Hawkeye teaching his daughter to shoot the bow, saying, "Good job, Hawkeye," high-fiving her before they turn into dust, and assume maybe that's an Easter egg for Kate Bishop. Maybe she'll become the next version of Hawkeye.
Just gotta move your foot here. Point your toe this way. Hips. Here. Okay.
Rewatching it now, we obviously know that's not the case, although I do think that they were trying to foreshadow Kate Bishop Hawkeye in the Hawkeye solo series. But now we know who the actual new Hawkeye is going to be. If you didn't see the news, starting with number 5, Hailee Steinfeld was just announced as Marvel's new Kate Bishop, the person who Clint Barton Hawkeye is going to train during the Hawkeye series. It's a huge win for Marvel. She was just in Transformers Bumblebee, but she also just did, coincidence, a movie with Nick Fury himself, Samuel L. Jackson, where he trains her as an assassin called Barely Lethal. What a coincidence. This is a clip of her beating the crap out of Sophie Turner.
Elbows, knees, react, hammer fist, ladies. You're not training to save your lives. You're training to take someone else's.
So the whole idea there is that she's just an actress who can do comedy and action, and you need to be able to do both to fill that Kate Bishop Hawkeye role. Even though technically Kate Bishop comes from a very different background from Hawkeye, they share a lot of personality traits. 4. What about crossing over with the next Avengers movies? There are enough Marvel Phase 4 projects set on Earth right now that she could always cameo in a movie before the Hawkeye series, Spider-Man Civil War style, because the release date for that Hawkeye series is November 2021. Probably closer to October because it's supposed to come out before Thor 4 Love and Thunder, and that's coming out at the beginning of November. They won't start shooting the series till later next year unless they want to move things up in the schedule. Hawkeye episodes are supposed to start right after the Avengers What If episodes end. I don't think any of these big Marvel Phase 4 shows' schedules are going to overlap, just a steady stream of new episodes for what seems like 26 weeks out of the year with a few breaks in between, not including the movies. I will be doing videos for all that stuff. Obviously, it's still pretty early days right now, but all the TV series they're working on are supposed to cross over with the movies, influence the plot of the movies, set big things up, both villains and heroes. So the Hawkeye series is basically getting Kate Bishop, Hailee Steinfeld up to snuff in time for Avengers 5, unless they want to cross her over with Thor 4 Love and Thunder, which I'm not expecting, Blade. I guess she could show up in Blade or Black Panther 2, but probably not. And she could always cross over with the Moon Knight series, Miss Marvel, or She-Hulk, because those are a little more ground level and they're set on planet Earth. Mostly the series is just getting her ready as Hawkeye for Avengers 5 and Young Avengers. 3, what's the actual story of the series? We all know, based on what Kevin Feige and Marvel have said, that it's going to be inspired by Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run, My Life is a Weapon. That's Hawkeye Volume 4 if you want to read that. It's a no-brainer, it's a great story. They'll have to make some big changes to that story to account for how different MCU Hawkeye is from comic book Hawkeye. Because movie Hawkeye has a family, he's trying to retire, to be with them, just to go off and live on his farm for the rest of his days. Maybe clear a little of the red off of his ledger that he accumulated as Ronin during Avengers Endgame. Kevin Feige did reveal that the Hawkeye solo series will reveal more of his time when he was Ronin during Avengers Endgame in that 5-year time jump. Mostly that's him just mowing criminals down all over planet Earth that did not get snapped. How dare you survive, and my family, the innocent people, get snapped. Basic backstory for Kate Bishop, though, is that she grew up in a wealthy family, her father had ties to the mob, eventually she started to get curious, investigated him, followed him to a meetup with the mob and one of the people that was his contacts. She was caught, held for ransom, then saved by Hawkeye of the Avengers, who she had never met before. She admired him for what he did, aspired to be like him, but didn't really take the Hawkeye name until after she was with the Young Avengers, which came way later. While she was with that Young Avengers team, they called her a whole bunch of different names. She wore a costume that was inspired by Mockingbird's costume. They called her Hawkess, Mockingbird, Hawkette, Task Mistress Hawkingbird Lady Hawkeye. They kind of turned her codename into a bit of a joke because she's a wisecracker just like Clint Barton. She didn't really start spending a lot of time teaming up with Hawkeye until Marvel Civil War Secret Invasion, and then a couple other stories happen, but then you get the Fraction run where Hawkeye recruits her to help take down a group of low-level criminals based on circus tropes. So it's this nice balance of really hardcore action of them just mowing through all these criminals and wisecracking along the way, telling a bunch of jokes. Their next adventure was saving a little girl, then Madame Mask kidnaps Clint Barton and Kate Bishop has to go save him, so it becomes Kate Bishop versus Madame Mask. After all the stuff with Clint Barton Hawkeye, she goes back to the Young Avengers for some bigger adventures. So you can imagine how they're going to pace that TV show out over the course of those 6 episodes. Show her backstory with her family. Hawkeye probably saves her life at some point. She decides to get combat training, goes solo. Hawkeye notices her and agrees to eventually train her. It's literally the plot of The Karate Kid, only instead of Johnny being the final boss fight, it's Madame Mask. But because they have so many villains to pick from, they might choose another big boss for her to face during that series. 2, you probably just saw the news, they hired their showrunner. He's one of the writers from Mad Men, so it sounds like the writing is going to be pretty solid. They'll change a lot of the plot of that Fraction run, but it's still a really good template. This doesn't mean that Clint Barton Hawkeye is going to die, they're going to kill him off, or he's never going to come back in the Marvel movies. It just means that he's slowly transitioning to a more background role, and he'll probably appear in cameos in future Avengers movies, but not in the really, really big way that you've seen him in the last couple of Avengers films. Not Avengers Infinity War, because he sat that one out. We actually found out why he sat that out. He actually just said that he filmed so many movies that he wanted to take a break before they filmed Avengers Endgame. So Jeremy Renner himself specifically asked Marvel to write him out of Avengers Infinity War. Originally, I guess he was going to have a big role during that movie. So mystery solved. It wasn't that they didn't want to include Hawkeye. It was that he didn't want to be in that movie. He just wanted a little break before they did Avengers Endgame. Number 1 though, what about Hailee Steinfeld as Spider-Gwen in the Sony universe? A lot of you were asking this question on my Twitter yesterday. She was the voice of Spider-Gwen in the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. She's supposed to be in the sequel to that they're working on right now. There's no release date for that. Animation takes way longer than live action, so it could be a couple years before that happens. But there was still talk that Sony was going to do an animated Spider-Gwen spin-off movie with her, and because they just announced that they were developing 6 new live-action Spider-Verse TV shows, the thought was that she could always wind up playing the live-action version of Spider-Gwen in a TV show. Now that she's going to be doing this Hawkeye series in the Marvel movies, like she's literally going to be in the big Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5 movies, that's probably not going to affect any of her work as animated Spider-Gwen in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequels. She can still do that. Mahershala Ali, Mr. Blade himself now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was also in the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie as Miles' uncle, the Prowler.
Oh, no. Like, hey. No.
Hey.
So if Mahershala Ali can be in the Netflix Marvel series, be in a Sony Spider-Man movie, then become a huge character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and get his own movie, then Hailee Steinfeld can probably do the same thing too. But this does probably mean that Hailee Steinfeld is out of the running for any potential live-action Spider-Gwen movies or TV shows, because Amy Pascal also said Sony was considering live-action Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but it's so far off, who knows when that's going to happen, because right now they still have the 4 Spider-Man movies that they're trying to complete with Tom Holland. So that's Spider-Man 3, then Spider-Man 4, which is probably going to wind up being their big Venom crossover, maybe a build-up to Maximum Carnage in the 3rd Venom movie. Then after that is probably when they would try some live-action Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, if everything goes well for them. But everybody post your reactions to Hailee Steinfeld, Kate Bishop Hawkeye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I feel like she's a pretty solid pick. There are probably a couple people that could have done that role, but she's a really big get for Marvel. So it'll be fun to see her beef up and throw down with some of the big Marvel villains. There's a lot of you that have asked about what's going on with the Young Avengers movie now, because obviously Spider-Man could have been a part of that, even though there's all this Sony Marvel stuff going on. It's not over till it's over, but they're still obviously going to do a Young Avengers movie at some point. They still have most of the characters already based on what they've announced. Funny enough, a lot of people around Avengers Endgame were also theory crafting that Catherine Langford's mystery role was going to be future Kate Bishop until they revealed that she was going to be the future version of Tony Stark's daughter. So that's why you're seeing all this fan art of Catherine Langford as Kate Bishop, because it was from before they announced that news. We're doing a new Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your best Hawkeye theory on the video. Everybody leave your video requests in the comments below. Congratulations to Best in 8 Live. You're the giveaway winner from my last big Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. You do that on desktop. I don't think that shows up on mobile. Everybody click here for my non-spoilery Joker movie review, and click here to learn all about the new Wolverine vs. Hulk project that Marvel is apparently working on. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.